In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to import data into Geobase using osm2pgsql. In other words, how to import data from OpenStreetMap into Geobase. And we're going to be using a tool called osm2pgsql. A very powerful tool. And the way it works is that by taking the raw OpenStreetMap data, it can run it through a script which is written in Lua, and then that gets imported into Geobase. So we're going to have to break this up into two parts, looking at the script and then importing the data. Before we do all that, we need to get some data. So here I am going to be grabbing some data from the City of Westminster in the UK. And the way you can do this is by going to app.protomaps.com, and there you can draw a polygon, download the data like that. For example, if I go to here and I look for London, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle. I'm going to create an extract, and that's available now. I can download it. Next thing we're going to do is go to the documentation page for osm2pgsql and go to the examples and grab a Lua script. So there's one here for 3D buildings, and this is what we're going to use. I'm going to right-click this and copy the link and download it. You can download it a number of ways. Use curl here, and now I have a separate directory for our work. Let's just go in here, and we've got these two scripts. Next thing I'm going to do is go to Geobase, and in Geobase I have my project. I'm just going to log in, and we're going to load some data in here. But let's have a look at the Lua script first. The Lua script is creating a table called buildings, and then from that it's creating 3 columns: ID, height, and geometry. And then it has this function to calculate heights, and it has these processing functions that will process there's a wave processor, and there's a relation processor, and then there's an add building. And here we define, when we run the script, it will use the process function, process the data in the OpenStreetMap file, and then create the values in the columns using these processing functions. So here we can see that there's a loop processing way will process all objects and turn them into polygons, and then pass them into add buildings, and then add buildings will insert the building with the height, which is calculated using this function. And this function is looking for a building levels height tag, and first it looks for the height tag, otherwise it looks for the building levels tag, and so on. So then it applies that, otherwise it returns 12. We are going to just take that, and then we have to go to our project. I'm just going to delete this table. So now I'm going to go back to my settings. In my settings, I need my connection string to run osm2pgsql. So osm2pgsql can take the name of the database, which you can get from the connection settings. And here's my database name, which is Postgres. And then the user is the user here. And then this is where my server is, and that I can get from the host here. And notice that the ID is the same as the reference ID here. So every project gets its own ID, and then the name of the server is based on that. And then we have a port, which we can get from here, and then the password will be asked when you run this. And yeah, and then we need to provide the Lua script called 3D Lua, and then I need my OSM protobuf file, which is called Westminster. If I run this, it will ask me for the password, which I can get from my project settings here and paste. And this will go away and run the script. Now you do need to install osm2p on your laptop, and you can do that using, if you're on Mac, Brew, and on other systems you can follow the instructions, install instructions on osm2pgsql. Okay, so with that done, let's go back to our tables here, and you will notice right away there's a buildings table, and it has a column. But actually, let's just go to tile server here. Okay, so here's my tile server, and I can see that the buildings table is registered here. So I can open that, and I can start coding against it by looking at this. If I zoom in, here are all my buildings that were imported. And the way this works is that this is just giving you a little quick template to start coding and building your app in JavaScript using Maplibre. Of course, this would be just the beginning of it. You would need to do your own custom logic for whatever application you're building. But essentially, this is providing you with a URL to the tile server that's connected to the table, and then you can start building things. We can see that this building has, if you click on the name of the row, we can see that the building has a height, which is a float 4, and then we can use that to extrude and style the data. So if I go back to my example here, and this is the existing code that creates the flat vector tiles. And if I take some predefined code here and I'm just going to paste it and refresh, you will see here that the buildings have become three-dimensional and extruded. Let's have a quick look at the code here. And what we're doing is that we're styling it using a fill extrude height and getting the attribute height. And that is coming from our height here. And that is coming from our table, of course, because we imported the Lua script, imported the height of the buildings. This is just one of the ways you can start building on top of Geobase.